Let's go, Rider Nation.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Yeah, here we go. It's a feeling now. Get 'em high, get 'em low, 'cause we're dealing now. Everybody's giving it all they got, 'cause we're ready.
Welcome to the Piffles podcast, your Saskatchewan Roughriders fan podcast. Thanks for joining us here this week. As always, you got me. I'm Alex.
I'm Steve.
And I am the champion, my friend.
What do you have behind you?
That, sir, is the Colonel. And that goes to the winning team of the Stadnik Invitational Golf Thingy. And me, Don Dutchek, Glenn Chernick, and Joel Gasson were the team winners. And so we get to share the Colonel for this year. So I'm making very good use of it in the first week, that's for sure.
And how much of that was because you did anything?
Don may have tied for the lead, but I was right behind him and Pat. So me and Don carried our team to victory.
Golf is in a sad state of affairs.
It is. It totally is. Considering that was my first game of the year. That tells you how
They're
good
called
the golf
rounds. Is. They're called rounds, Greg.
No,
rounds.
There can be games as well. I think I play a little more golf than you do.
The good old match of golf. The golf match.
Wow,
but no, it was a fun tournament. It's always a good time, and
you guys raised a ton of money for CFL Fans Fight Cancer, which is what this whole thing is about, though. So
yeah, I think it was 52, and I want to say 25 of those dollars were just on lost balls for me. That $5 lost ball. No, it's $5 a lost ball.
No, I thought it was over $6,000.
Is it over $6,000 now? I will double check.
That's amazing.
That's for a bunch of guys going around. Like we had 3 teams in Regina. There was one team in Calgary.
And 52-20. I don't know where I got the 6 from.
And a lone guy in BC, plus a bunch of people sponsoring us too. So a bunch of people were sponsoring golfers, saying they'd match donations. And
I don't think they knew what they were getting themselves into.
Yeah, poor Doug Brown there. He's almost out for $100 on Dave there because he was like 96.25 or something stupid like that. Like so close to Doug's number.
Well, good on you guys raising money for CFL Fans Fight Cancer. I love that. Of course, with Grey Cup coming up, that's where all that money's going is to. I don't have the name of the place in front of me. I'm sorry, but it is a place in Winnipeg as it goes to the local host of the Grey Cup. So more money to fight cancer. Great news. But we are here to talk Saskatchewan Roughriders football, and we're going to start doing that. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcasts, watching on YouTube, watching on SaskTel Max TV on demand. Piffles podcast is brought to you by Dairy Queen on Elphinstone Street and Sask Drive in Regina. We're also proud to be sponsored by Kathy Festian of Roy LePage Next Level, Churchill Brewing Company, District 306, Regina's Tactical Laser Tag Experience, Bigfoot Vodka, and Creasy's Premium Home Leisure Jacuzzi Spas. And not only do we talk riders, we talk fun, or lack thereof, which is what Steve and Greg had at this game. That's where we're going to get started. It's the opening kickoff. People say I'm the guy that's like no fun.
I don't know you anymore. I do not know you anymore.
The Wave on Friday. We'll talk about the Riders win. We'll get to that. That's not important. We all saw it. We all know what happens. The Wave in the fourth quarter went on for a good solid 5-6 minutes around the stadium, like full around the stadium. People were into it, loving it, except you guys. I didn't join the Wave, but I also didn't mind people doing it. You guys are the ones that had the issue with it. Why? Why do you guys hate fun?
Easy now. I don't hate fun.
One,
I don't think it's very impressive that people can show, look, I can stand up. Look, I can sit down. Look, I can stand up. Look, I can sit down. Not impressive. Not impressive at all. And 2, do it on defense. I really don't care. But when we're in offense in a 1-score game at that point, or almost a like 2-score game, I guess, at that point. And the Riders the offense isn't clicking right now. Shut up. Because no, like silent, pin drop. I want to be able to hear Trevor Harris sneeze. And yeah, we're doing the wave. Like this is the first football game we've ever seen in our lives.
Here's the thing. I love fun things. I like to have a good time. And I have said, and others have said, that was probably the most electric atmosphere we've seen at Mosaic
That's true.
in years, playoff games not included. There was just a buzz to that game. And
Says the
I'm
guy
guessing
that was wearing a Grinch costume, by the way.
Oh man, there was no buzz in me. I was basically a heat exhaustion. Mistakes were made, okay? Don't wear a winter costume in a 30-degree day. My only issue with it was when they seem to do it, and it's when they do it every time. And it also stems from the Riders and their TV timeout things that they do. It almost seems like anytime they get crowd interaction with its songs or other things that are going to make a lot of noise, almost exclusively those things happen as the Riders are about to step out onto offense. I have grown. I don't hate the wave anymore. I don't want to ban the wave. Seeing 25,000 people do anything in unison is impressive. But don't do it on offense. It is distracting. There's a reason why they turn off the video screens when Lothar's about to kick. That's distracting. Imagine the wave going around in circles. And I yelled out to multiple people to sit down, to stop it. We're on offense. And I'm pretty sure they yelled louder the next time around. So I give up. Nothing was going to change. And it was nice to see some buzz in the stadium, at least. Bad timing, but good buzz.
That crowd was electric. That was the best Mosaic Stadium crowd for a regular season game, other than Labor Days, in probably 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, since I'd go earlier. I don't remember the crowd in that stadium being that electric.
It was that was a fun night at the football stadium, except for you guys in the wave. I laughed when I saw that because I knew you guys were just, and then the DMs started popping up between you guys saying that you hate that. But it actually brings on something that I thought about too, was just football etiquette. And yes, I know the hardcores and everything. I saw it on Twitter after. Everybody hated the wave while the Riders were on offense. And it's a football etiquette thing. There is no football etiquette anymore at games. People are yelling when the Riders are on offense. People are walking in front of you during plays. That bugs me. I used to be the guy that I would not let people pass. But now it's just like, you know what, whatever. They may not know. It's not worth it. So I thought about the football etiquette and having a big giant list for this episode to go through. I'm like, nah, it's not a thing anymore. It's just not. That's not how people enjoy the game. And we're always talking about how we need to get more fans at the stadium. That was a pretty young crowd, I think, on Friday night. That was a lot of people that don't go to every game, that go to maybe a handful of games, go to one game a year, and that place was rocking. So, I mean, now with a team that's 6-1 now, hopefully we're seeing a lot more of that type of crowd with the team winning, and that becomes a proper thing. So, I think it was really, really good for the team overall. Obviously it didn't help them on the field because they almost gave that game away, but, in terms of just getting people in the stands and how it looked, how it felt, that was the best atmosphere I felt at a Rider game in a very long time.
Well, like we've said it many times, winning teams will draw fans. And if you looked at the seat map coming up to the game, at one point, I think the day of, there was like less than 2,000 seats. Yeah, more people obviously with the season tickets probably weren't there, but it was still a good crowd. Like it was a solid crowd, fun crowd. And that's all you really need in a game like that, especially on a Friday night.
And you know what I find gets people excited, and it obviously worked 8 times in this game, is a quarterback sacks. That gets the fans involved, man. And that D-line, that's where we're going to start. Obviously, it was 21-18 was the final score. That D-line dictated that entire game. Shane Ray having 2 sacks, Malik Carney having 2 sacks. Micah Johnson having 2 sacks. Revis and Allen each had a sack. Mike Rose, I thought, played his best game as a rider, and he didn't even get a sack. He was just in there disrupting the whole time. Caleb Sanders, like that whole D-line dominated that game. And the fact that they actually got to Fajardo and took him down 8 times, I mean, getting pressure and causing havoc is great. But when you finish that play and you get that sack, that just gets the fans that much more pumped up.
This was the perfect quarterback for that defensive line to go against. With his happy feet, I'm shocked he wasn't sacked even more. Like, Trey Ford might have been a better option against that defensive line. And the way they were eating in the first half, I'm surprised that Killam did not go back to Ford in the second half of that game, because Fajardo had no answers. Outside of 2 or 3 long plays, he had no answers for that defensive line from start to finish. They couldn't run the ball. They were completely one-dimensional. And that stems, again, we've talked about it the last couple episodes, from Caleb Sanders in the middle. You know, he's not going to be your huge sack machine, but clearly whatever he's doing against the run is working. They're now under 40 yards a game against the run.
And nothing against our run defense, but I also don't think Edmonton planned to run. I'm looking at it right now. You had 2 rushes from Javon Leak for 5 yards. You had 3 from Justin Rankin for 0 yards. Cody had the most runs for 20 yards, and those were all broken plays. They didn't plan to run the ball. Like, it's no wonder Cody, no wonder our defensive line could tee off. They didn't have to worry about the run because they weren't doing it.
Which is funny, because if you look back to that game last August, that's how they beat us, with Rankin and Leak and Ford absolutely decimating us on the ground. But the difference is this week we had Jameer Thurman and we had Caleb Sanders.
And
they just chose to avoid running.
And just to further that fact on Caleb Sanders, the stats prove it with him in the lineup. 25 yards rushing against in this game, the lowest the Riders have allowed since July 21st against Hamilton in 2014, which was a 37-0 win. I think that was the home opener that year.
It was the home opener that year.
I think that was the
because
game
that was that like rain out game. Like that was the one. Where
and they ended up having I think they had 8 or 9 sacks in that game too.
Isn't that the year that never happened for you, Greg?
No, that's 2011.
Yeah.
My bad.
But 45 yards against rushing in the first 3 games with Caleb Sanders in the lineup. Without him against BC and Calgary, 132 yards per game against. Since he's come back, the last 2 games, 34 yards on average. Teams are getting nothing running the ball against the Riders. So anytime you can make the opponent one-dimensional and you can let this D-line tee off, and obviously with that extra body in the middle rotation, so you're seeing less Ali Saad right now, but you're seeing fresher legs on Micah Johnson and Mike Rose. I mean, you see what happens, and Shane Ray had his best game as a rider, getting those 2 sacks. Malik Carney, again, another 2-sack game. He's had that a couple times this year, but he was all over the place in this one. It was unreal how those 4, whoever was on the D-line at the time, it didn't matter which 4 it was, how they dictated that game. But there were other things in that game, and we'll talk about here right now. We'll go to do you want to talk about the 3 plays that Edmonton have? It kind of sucked that Edmonton only had 3 good plays that entire game, and they had a chance to at least tie it at the end, which is ridiculous. So there is no killer instinct with this Riders team right now. They just don't have it. They start out hot, and then they find ways to keep teams in it, and teams make it closer than it should have been. We saw it against BC last week. We saw it against Edmonton this past weekend. What's the problem here?
I don't want to say it's because of Coach Mays, but I think it's his philosophy of whatever it takes to win, we're going to do. And that's, don't put yourself in situations where you might lose. So that could be, they're just not going to put their foot on the gas pedal at this point. If they're in the lead, they're going to do what they can to maintain the lead they're not going to put themselves into they're not going to keep bombing the ball out to run the score up just in case there's an interception. They're going to go to ball protection offense. They're going to do their bend but don't break defense that's going to get Cody like 350 yards. And it's one of those, it's just a mindset of go 1-0 and we'll be successful. And he's not wrong, but it's one of these days it's going to backfire on them.
Well, here's the problem I have with that. When you look at the last 4 wins effectively, we've had, heck, you could look at all 6 of them. We've had multiple score leads in every game. And then for some reason they decide that they'd stop doing what it is that got them there. And it's not like you've got a, questionable quarterback behind center. You've got a guy who's notoriously good for protecting the ball. Let him make those plays that he's been making all day. He's throwing over 75% every game for a reason. Let him make the plays that have gotten you to that point and stop switching it up, especially in the fourth quarter, because that's 2 straight games now that a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter has turned to a nail biter. And let's be honest, we're only going to live so long if all of these, tight games keep getting our hearts.
I would like to remind you, 2009 Grey Cup, we had a 20-point lead going into half, and we just thought, you know what, we'll do enough not to lose this game. And what happened then?
I still think they should have gone for it at the end of the first half in that game. Not take the field goal. Their offense was rolling. They could have scored a touchdown there, 100% in my mind, and the game is over. It doesn't matter. Anyway, to this year's Riders, 40 points total in 7 games for their offense in the fourth quarter. They've been blanked in 4 out of 7 fourth quarters. They're just not scoring points. 5.7 points per game is what they're getting in the fourth quarter this year. Simply put, that's not enough. That's the longest quarter when you factor in all the how the clock works and the 3-minute warning. And if games are close, then that extends the game. That's just, it's not sustainable for this team to keep winning all these games by not scoring points in the fourth quarter. It's not sustainable. Obviously, nothing's going to change overnight. I'm not terribly worried about it yet because the team is winning, but at some point, it's going to catch up to them unless they change it. Now, obviously, I think some injuries have hampered that, but right now, this team is the ultimate next man up, and it's working. But maybe that's why some of these games are closer than they should be. We're not fielding, obviously, the best team we possibly can if everybody was healthy. But at the same time, they got to figure it out. Some things I wanted to bring up. I want to bring up the Tevon Campbell hit on Cody Fajardo really quickly because 100% that was rough in the pass. Well, I hate that it's called rough in the passer, but it's a major penalty for roughing. They're going to call the headshot every single time. But what I will say is kudos to Tevon Campbell because he clearly altered the way that when he was falling down to make that tackle, he altered his body to try and avoid contact altogether. It was his ass that made contact with Fajardo's head. So the fact that he tried and did a very good job of getting out of the way, I mean, that's exactly what players should be doing in that instance. Obviously, still made contact, so it's going to be a penalty. So it is what it is. But
it's not his fault that Cody doesn't know how to slide. Cody's always been terrible at sliding. He always has that kind of coming into second base pop-up slide. He's always been too high. And
of course, quarterbacks are going to do that because they're going to get the penalty, right? So, Of course, you're not going to completely go down to the ground, horizontally.
Especially in that situation where you're needing all the yards you can get to get into field goal range. Yeah, Cody's going to slide basically from the seated position, and you could see him raise his head up as he's sliding. There was no way that wasn't intentional on his point. Tevon Campbell tried to get out of the way. He did everything he could, but the amount of people that were complaining that shouldn't have been roughing the passer was funny to me. The radio show after the game on 620, the entire panel was arguing that wasn't roughing the passer. And I'm like, that's the very definition. That is the easiest call you will ever see. A sliding quarterback with a hit to the head will get called 100% of the time. I get it. And I liked the challenge from Corey Mace to kind of slow it down.
Exactly. Just let the team regroup, and
Yeah.
maybe you get lucky in it and he didn't actually make contact, but whatever.
Yeah. But it was roughing the passer. Was it a weak call? Absolutely. Was it the correct call? 100%.
Joe Couch. I wanted to bring up Joe Couch in this one. That last kick, the coffin corner down to the 5-yard line.
He finally gets something right, but he did it at the wrong time.
Right. I was thinking, okay, it's a three-point game. Field position, as important as it is, maybe that's the time for a booming kick and you get a single to make it a full. So Edmonton needs a touchdown. But great kick down to the 5-yard line. You pinned him super, super deep. Obviously, that's what you want there. But I just had that really weird thought. I'm like, hopefully he does kind of like a single would be good right now. And the guy next to me was like, that's actually, yeah. So
can we just get him to boot one directly sideways at the beginning of the game just to get out of the way so that we don't have to wait and wonder for when he's going to shank one? Because he is good for one shank every game.
And this is the problem with the team right now, and they're overcoming it. So it's not getting a lot of talk, but it's their kickers right now. Both of them are at the very bottom of the league in their respective positions. Joe Couch right now is the worst punter statistically. Now, punting is a little bit different because obviously you have where you want ball placement. That's the most important thing for punting, right? John Ryan kicked the ball 60 yards. Did you want him to? Nope.
No.
Not the way he was. There was way too many rouges with John Ryan as our punter, and still gave him the ball at the 35-yard line. Couch, he shanks that into the second row, whatever it was. But directional punting's a big thing. So I'm not terribly worried about the yards. It's just where he's placing it and the timing of some kicks as well, too, when you're kicking them out of bounds. So that's an issue. But I will say right now, I think Brett Lothar is an issue as well. And let me preface this by saying I love Brett Lothar. I think he's a fantastic person. He's done great things for this team, both on and off the field. He's 100% a surefire Plaza of Honor player, 100% in my mind. And he richly deserves that. That said, I think he's a liability right now. And yes, he made a 51-yarder and made another kick as well, too. But I'm talking strictly on stats here. He's 69.6% on the season, which is 9th. The next closest is Rene Paredes at 80%. And Rene Paredes at 80% is an awful year for him.
Yeah.
Like, it's not close. He's not close to these other guys. He's missed 7 field goals already. Yes, 3 of them are in one game. You take that one game away, guess what he is? He's still last in field goal percentage. You take away those 3 misses against, Hamilton, where he went 2 for 5. Just strike that game off the record. He's still last place at 77%. I don't find that acceptable. Now, I realize there's not an abundance of Canadian kickers just sitting out there waiting for a phone call. If there was, we'd probably see one brought in. So I don't want to say we're stuck with Lothar because that's not the right term, but Brett Lothar is going to be the kicker for the rest of the year. That's just, it is what it is. I think that needs to be a priority in the offseason. We've talked about this the last couple off seasons, bringing somebody to push him a little bit. Even in the season last year, we said, got to bring somebody in just to push him, just to wake him up a little bit. Obviously he bounced back, but this year he's so inconsistent. I don't know what we're going to get out of him every single game. You go from game 1 all the way to game 8, 100%, 40%, 50%, 100%, 33, 100, 66. He's all over the map. Now, again, they're winning games, but these games are closer than they should have been. You make some of these field goals, all of a sudden that 6-point game is a 12-point game or whatever, right? So it's, I'm I'm not looking to have him replaced, but I'm just over the inconsistencies. And I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I said that after game 2, that he's earned the right over his career to try to right the wrong. And he had a good bounce back game. 2 weeks later, he was 5 for 5 against BC. But again, he's missed 3 kicks since then in 3 games. So I love Brett Lothar, but I think it's got to be the number one priority in the offseason is to look at a new kicker, whether that's free agency, whether it's drafting, whatever. I think it's time.
Well, it's exceptionally frustrating when you look at the stats page and see a guy like Mark Leggio who's hit, was it almost 30 straight? Sean White has hit over 30 in a row. Like you've got guys who are absolutely money lately. They've made the kicking game easier by moving in the hash marks over the last few years. Every other kicker seems to get it, and Brett has gone in the opposite direction. And we all love Brett. We did a charity thing with Brett. Great
You're
dude.
wearing the shirt.
Yeah, wearing the shirt. And I will support the dude long after his career has ended. But I'm a Rider fan first, and his struggles cost us a game last year. And the way he's kicking, it's only a matter of time before they cost one this year. And the only hope is it isn't a big game. It isn't a West final, a West semifinal, a Grey Cup. You know, when you're a roller coaster, those bad games are going to come. And it's become too common for him to ride that roller coaster over the last 2 years to not predict its eventual lull again.
And it's one thing to have a bad game and then bounce back like he did last year, have that really horrible game, and then you're the best kicker after that. That's one thing. But when you're up and then down and then up and then down, it's so much in the mentals.
Well, when you're in pro football and your kicker has a worse average than your quarterback, that's impossible. That's literally almost impossible to happen, and that's where we are right now. And Steve, you mentioned Leggio. Like, I mentioned this on the Sports Cage yesterday when I was on it with Barney, and I'm like, my nightmare is rolling into Winnipeg for the Grey Cup and us not doing anything about Lothar the same way Winnipeg didn't do anything about Leggio that year, because Leggio was all over the map that year, and they lost the Grey Cup in Regina off Leggio's missed kicks, and a blocked one as well. But
he would have missed that anyway.
Yeah, he the way it came out, yeah, probably. But the fact remains is, I don't want us to lose the Grey Cup in Winnipeg because Lothar can't get his kicks right. Especially when the Riders could probably do something about it if they really wanted to. But right now, where everyone, Brett's going to get figured out, Brett's going to get figured out, Brett's going to get figured out. Fans are, Brett's going to get figured out. Yet,
when?
Yeah. Meanwhile, though, if it's Lacombo, if it's AJ, if it's anyone else, like, I get it. Brett's a good dude, and he's a kicker, and he's from the Maritimes, and he ran to the Pill Country, and he's down to beer after doing a walk-off. Love it. Yeah. But if you're going to give him this much runway, you got to do it for the other guys, because this is ridiculous.
Thank you. I was going to bring up Lacombo. Before I do want to bring up that 2019 Labor Day Classic kick against Winnipeg, the walk-off that he had, where he ran into Pill Country. I feel like we're still resting on the laurels of that game with Brett Lothar. But the funny thing is, that was his worst season kicking the ball percentage-wise up until this year. So, I mean, he was 78%. He's been in the 80s, 85 basically ever since. His first full year with the Riders in 2018, that was the best season he had, over 90%. But if you're going to be around that 82, 83% and still be in that, 6th or 7th, I'm fine with that. But when you're 11%, 10% worse than everybody else, at some point that's going to catch up. And thank you for bringing up Lacombo, because this is the tie-in with Brett Lothar. We're, as in Rider fans right now, are so quick to go after Nelson Lacombo and say he's useless and he should be replaced. When's Jackson Ford going to get a chance? Why aren't we feeling that way about Brett Lothar? If we're so quick to do it to Nelson Lacombo, why are we not doing that to literally anybody else? And I'm not trying to make Brett a scapegoat here. I hope this guy's our kicker for more years to come because that means he's succeeding. Maybe he'll come back and kick the game winner in the Grey Cup. Who knows? But I don't know. I just think something has to be done about the kicking position. But then let's go to Nelson Lacombo here. How long is he going to get beat across the field here without Jackson Ford getting some reps in?
And we said it again last week. It's okay to potentially miss the odd run if you're also the hard-hitting guy that makes you worry when you're coming over the middle. But he gives us neither. And it's game after game we're seeing Nelson Lacombo get beat for a touchdown. It's time now. It was time a month ago, but Ford's just coming back from his injury. He can't do worse.
I'm ready for Jackson Ford, and I do like Lacombo, and I still think Lacombo is in the wrong position. I think he's a better corner than he is a safety, and that is a hill I will die on. But I think they definitely need to go to Ford, at least try it out, and if it doesn't work, go back to Lacombo. Like, you got two young guys back there, try them out. Like, they're not so adverse to not try other people in other positions. Why not give Ford the shot and let Lacombo just kind of rotate through?
Now, I will say we're obviously talking about the negatives in the game. There was obviously very much some positives. Trevor Harris, of course, Sam Emilus before he took that brutal shot to the knees, which should have been a penalty, which is going to keep him out this week.
To those that said, he turned and was running, no.
He barely got his feet on the ground.
And that I'm like, are they? I've never seen. If they've called that new rule, I have not seen it yet because I really want to know what that rule looks like. Does that have to be a jumping guy basically getting like full flip? Because I thought MLS was a perfect example of how that play should be called. Because he just caught the ball and the guy went directly into the sides of his knees. There's no way he could protect himself.
Another positive was the O-line. Giving Trevor Harris the time, the protection that he needed to make throws. So I thought, again, with another makeshift offensive line with Noah Zur starting because Zach Fry was in a car accident where his car flipped.
It's amazing how that no one talked about that until Edwin Harrison just kind of casually dropped that on the sports cage yesterday. I'm like, did he just say Fry's car flipped?
I was listening to that while I was walking the dogs. I was like, okay, I knew they said that he was in a car accident last week. Okay, I understand the precautions, keeping him out. If he was bumped and bruised, whatever, I totally get that. But then when Edwin Harrison said that his car flipped, I was like, excuse me? Like, why was, like, I know Corey Mace is the worst coach at talking about injuries. Oh, yeah, it's just a Charlie horse. He'll be back in a week. 4 weeks later, MLS is still out. Like he's very, very coy about things. But to just not mention that altogether, and where's the media ask in this? They're talking to the coach every single day. When coach says, yeah, he was in a car accident. Oh, is he okay? That's my first question. Is he okay? What happened?
I pictured Corey Mace just yada-yadaing his way through it. He's like, yeah, so Fry was in a car accident, yada, yada, yada. He'll be back in it.
Just buries the lead, right?
I can't believe that the car flipped and it was just a casual thing for Edwin Harrison to just drop
like it happens all the time, right?
He's like, oh, yeah, just a car flip. I'm like, what?
I wonder if I saw it on Just Bins now that I think about it.
If he comes back from his car accident the way Dan Clark came back from his, we are in for a treat when he returns.
Dan Clark was excellent as the fill-in in-game host for Mark Johnston. Mark, congratulations again. Him and his partner Casey having another child, so that's why Mark wasn't the in-game host for this one. Dan Clark replaced him. Mark, don't quit your day job, whatever that is. I know what it is. But Dan was awesome. I thought he was great, especially in that Christmas theme. He was allowed to, be that more energetic, jolly, if that makes sense. I think he would have been great regardless of the theme, but I think that suited him so well.
Clark has always been good at the fan stuff. Like that's why he was always doing like the Red Cross stuff, and he always did the Pros Joe's tours and stuff like that. Dan has always been a community guy, so it didn't surprise me that he just took to that role.
Yep, kudos. He did solid.
And poor Sabine, Mark's already so much taller than her. Yeah, Dan Clark in there being just the big guy that he is, the big offensive lineman. She looks so small standing next to him.
In an elf costume?
Yeah. But Christmas in July, I thought they did a very good job of execution in that one. I know a lot of people didn't like the idea. I thought it was very well executed. It was the right amount of Christmas stuff mixed in with the regular blend of in-game production. I hope it's something that they don't do every year, because I think it would get very stale. I think other teams can kind of play around with that, and every couple of years bring it back, because I think it was really, really good.
Yeah, next year we're getting Easter in July.
I don't know how they'll. I have some really inappropriate jokes. We're not going to go that way.
Just back away slowly, Alex.
Yeah, that's the opening kickoff presented by Kathy Festian of Royal LePage Next Level. Let's get to Remember That Guy, sponsored by District 306, Regina's tactical laser tag experience. The who's that and who's who of rider history, with Greg giving us hints, and we have to guess which former rider this is. So, Greg, let's remember that guy.
Okay, here we go. Grey Cup.
How many Vanstones?
If you don't get it after 2, I don't think you're going to get it until number 7. So, 4 Vanstones.
So it's not Dennis Guile.
It's definitely not Dennis Guile.
All right. You
That's
said
what
Grey
I'm
Cup.
telling you.
I know that's not Dennis Guile.
Yeah, Grey Cup champion.
Okay.
This Jackrabbit still holds the SDSU records for career rushing attempts, season yards, career net yards, yards per game, season rushing touchdown, career rushing touchdown, season total yards, career total yards, game all-purpose yards, season all-purpose yards. Basically, he's all over the records book. How well do you know your SDSU Jackrabbits?
Clearly not well enough.
I don't even know what an SDSU is.
Caleb Sanders would get this, I bet.
Probably.
It's the only other player I know from SDSU.
Attended the Dallas Cowboys training camp. 7,878 all-purpose CFL yards with 38 touchdowns. Called Hamilton, Edmonton, and Ottawa home. 3-time CFL East All-Star.
So William Powell?
Nope. Little ball of hate.
Oh, Josh Ronick.
Yes. And know what his Grey Cup championship is? Here.
Yeah, in 2007.
Yep.
He was the backup in that one. I remember that. I had no idea he was from San Diego.
He owns like every record at South Dakota State. Like every record. It is ridiculous.
I even had him on my list here too. I was looking at the list of players.
I know you did.
Yeah, it's on my list. Josh Ronick. He's right next to Charles Thomas and Chris McKenzie, actually, on my list. Josh Ronick, when they brought him in, and he only had the 1 year here, right? In 2007?
Yep. 2007, yep. This is the final year in the CFL.
Did not get many touches because Wes Cates was a monster.
Actually, I meant to write this down. He had like no touches. It was ridiculous how little they actually used him.
He was an insurance policy. He was very, what was that? The season in Ottawa that he had where he was 1,300 yards, whatever it was. I think I'm guessing off the top of my head, but man, he was excellent for a couple of years.
Take a guess how many rushes Josh Ronick had.
14.
Steve?
26?
2.
Actually,
2 rushes for 6 yards and 1 touchdown. And
Wow.
the longest was 4 yards.
So he lost so he got 2 yards on the other one. Good for him.
Yeah.
Wow. Josh Ronick.
I forgot about that because I was going to put that in there. Like, nah, I better not do that. But yeah, I forgot. He started with Edmonton and never played. They released him and then he came here in 2007.
Huh.
So
I remember that guy very vaguely with the Riders, though.
he's in the Sandro DeAngelis Venn diagram of riders.
At least Sandro won us a Banjo Bowl.
That is true. Yeah, he got us a very important touchdown at some point on 6 yards. Like that touchdown to yards ratio. Like who else can say they can do that?
Very few. Very few.
6 points and 6 yards.
I probably never would have got it without that his nickname.
Yeah.
Yep.
They apparently ran another thing I learned while looking this up. They ran when he was in Hamilton. He apparently didn't like the nickname Little Ball of Hate. So they ran a contest in Hamilton. I don't know how that worked out because I couldn't find what that actually ended up being.
He ended up on their little wall of fame. Is he their alumni of distinction?
He better be alumnus of distinction. I'm open for it. I forgot that Walby called him Ring Around the Raw Neck. Like, that'd be Walby. That'd be Bluto. Good name on that one.
That sounds like Chris Walby, all right.
And they wonder why the CBC lost the CFL with great commentary like that.
Man, I love Walby. He's got a couple fantastic, great stories. Used to be
Walby's a good dude.
Used to be a hockey player before he was a football player. He was very good too. Just got into some trouble as a kid and found his way to football from that. And Walby has a great story about Bobby Jurison. Back in I think it was 1990 when they used to still do all-star games. Yeah. And this is my favorite Walby story. So they're in practice. They're both on the West because Ottawa was still around, I think. So Winnipeg was in the West. So in the practice for this all-star game, Walby and Bobby J would line up one-on-one. Of course, Walby being the tackle, right? So they'd have all their reps against each other, and they would keep track of who would win and whatever, and they'd be on each other. Obviously, you have the Bombers and Rider rivalry, right? So the one day at practice, they just had all the reps against each other. They both split them pretty evenly, I think, was how it was said. So Bobby J gets a knock on his door at 3 a.m. in the morning in his hotel. Chris Walby's in the hallway. Bobby J is just there in his underwear. And then Walby squats down. He's like, okay, let's go. And they square up and they start doing reps in the hallway of the hotel. Bobby J's in his underwear before 3 a.m. Could you imagine coming back home or back to your hotel after a night out, and there's these two guys, one's 350 pounds, the other guy's 270 pounds in his underwear, and they're just it looks like they're wrestling each other. What did you just walk into? But that's my favorite Chris Walby story. He's like, no, I'm gonna go knock on his door at 3 a.m. We're
gonna settle this right now.
Yeah.
That might just be my favorite story in general. Jesus.
It's a good story. But anyway, Josh Ronick, good one, Greg, on Remember That Guy, sponsored by District 306, Regina's tactical laser tag experience. Speaking of District 306, they're also bringing us the Banjo Bowl bus, along with Engelheim Tours and Creasy's Premium Home Leisure. Very few spots remain and very little time to get in. If you're thinking on the fence about going to the Banjo Bowl, the game is just about sold out. We have spots available. Leaving on the Friday, it's a full two-day trip. Coming back on the Sunday, we get you to and from Winnipeg, hotel night stay, to the game, back. Tons of prizes on the bus. We'll pick you up anywhere on the number one. Only a couple spots remain. We need to know pretty much right away if you can make it. If you can, shoot us a message on social media. You know where to find us. We're easy to find, Piffles Podcast. Email us, pifflespodcast@gmail.com. and we'd love to have you on board. We're so close to selling out the bus. Let's finish it off and have one hell of a time going to Winnipeg.
And Red Barn on the way home.
And which is confirmed now. You do have the booking is in place. So
I had to fight another bus for it, but we got it. I
We'll
had to
take
pull the old, do you know who I am? I'm from
and they
Mooseman.
said no.
Yeah, and then I'm
They
like,
did
well,
not.
I'm from Mooseman. I'm like, you know my parents?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that one. Oh,
Yeah, everybody knows them. So anyway, if you want to go to the Badger Bowl, let us know. We'd love to have you on board. Just need to know within the next matter of days, a week kind of thing. Like it's coming down to the very end where we need to know and send numbers in. So just shoot us a message and let's get you going to Winnipeg with us. On to the Churchill Brewing Company odds and end zones. Take a look around the league from last week. Montreal and Calgary. Very nice that MBT did us a solid.
I think
Vernon
they won the
Adams.
game despite of him.
He threw some nice balls, actually. A couple of drops.
He played okay, but he didn't win that game. Calgary lost that game. Let's be honest, what happened there?
Well,
Once they lost Alford, VA kind of got lost, and then they lost VA and
PJ Walker was awful.
old PJ Walker dirty talker what was funky. Let's put it that way.
I loved all the talk about how he was the next coming of the Lord, and he was awful. I realized it was his first real game activity, but good Lord, that was a gimme close, and he couldn't.
All he had to do was get 30 yards. But that's Noel Thorpe's defense, and that's the defense the Riders are going up against this week. So I'm glad Montreal obviously pulled that out. They got their win now, let them lose next week, kind of thing. But also it helped kick off a perfect week for the Riders, where all the other West Division teams lost. So the Winnipeg and Toronto won. Zach Collaros, and that's where this is a big story in the CFL. Is Zach Collaros. The curious case of Zach Collaros. What the hell's going on with him? Got pulled at halftime. Was reported as a neck injury. He was awful. He was 5 of 10. Threw a couple picks in that game. Chris Stravler was a better quarterback. And he is right now. He's a better option at quarterback than Zach Collaros. We're living in a world where that's a thing. And Steve, I know you like that.
When they said neck
I'm
injury,
not dignifying that with the response.
When they said neck injury, I assumed they meant O'Shea because Collaros was a pain in his neck throwing all those interceptions, because that was bad. Like, we talk about good Zach versus bad Zach all the time. Like, it looked like he was playing for the Grey Cup. Like, it was you do not see that is playoff Collaros right there.
Death, taxes, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers losing to the Toronto Argonauts lately. All things are guarantees.
For whatever reason, the Argos and Nick Arbuckle are their kryptonite, which I'm not upset about. Don't get me wrong. Hey. So that's 3 straight losses for the Bombers now.
Long may that continue.
But with Zach Collaros, so they said nothing on the broadcast. Obviously, you're not going to give out any information on the injury. Just, upper body, not coming back tonight. Okay, that's all they're going to say in game anyway. But now it's Tuesday night. He's still not practicing. They didn't practice on Tuesday because there was some smoke in Winnipeg that blew over, so they canceled that. But then again, another reason
they field house in Winnipeg.
Yeah, they don't have one indoor stadium or anything that they can get in there and practice in. But they don't have that performance.
They don't need to practice.
But they don't have to answer questions on Zach Collaros if they don't practice, right? So, but again, now they're not saying, O'Shea's not saying whether it's an upper body injury. He's not saying if it's a lower body injury. So a lot of questions about this. So what the hell's going on with him? Hurt feelings. That's what it is. Hurt feelings.
I definitely think that's part of it, but we'll find out what happens this week, because they got to do something with him, and they're going back to back with Toronto.
So it's not a loss.
So are we going to get? I think we might get a Stravler start. I really do. I think they're going to hold Zach out and claim an injury and put one game on him, and because he, other than a couple of flashes this year, he's looked very bad. And I said last year he only had 2 good games all last year.
Yep, one of them happened to be against us
in the West Final. Like, whoa.
And it's funny, 3 weeks ago, if you looked at those standings, we already pretty much expected a East or Western crossover, and all of a sudden Toronto's made a flip back, and Winnipeg is shuffling down the drain. It's a good situation in the CFL West. I love watching the other 4 teams lose and the Riders win. That's a real joy. One of life's great joys.
Another one of life's great joys is when you get to watch Chris Strevel play.
And also, thank you for being such a big supporter and fan of the CFL and myself personally.
You knew it was coming. It was just a matter of time.
I'm aware. I rolled my eyes. We're all good. It's just part of life now. Death taxes, the Bombers losing to the Argos, and that stupid video. Life's guarantees.
Best
money we ever spent.
It's not even close.
I want a refund.
You'll get it on next year's salary that we don't get.
Oh, perfect.
Hamilton and BC, obviously the last game of the week, and it was BC's collapse in the final 3 minutes. Their defense looked a lot like the Riders' defense, where they bend and bend and bend and finally broke. That was the big difference. And I know everyone's talking about it. It's the interception from Robert Carter as probably one of the greatest catches you'll ever see in the CFL.
In any league. I'm trying to think of even an NFL catch that
especially by a DB, especially an interception.
Yeah, because you play DB because you can't catch. that is the rules. If you can't catch, you're a receiver, you can't catch, we're flipping you to the other side. I don't know why they never did that with Kenny Shaw, but that's beside the point. The fact remains is the dude made a one-handed stab and then rolled through it, and this is not the first time he's done it, so it's not like he's catching lightning in a bottle here. He did that last year in college. So why is this guy a DB?
Because that's the only type of catch he can make.
Apparently.
That was one of the best catches I've ever seen. Offense, defense, anything.
Me, it's that one, Duran, SJ Green. If I had to do a top 3.
Yeah, but SJ Green was out of bounds.
It was a catch.
Does it count because it was a convert?
A catch is a catch.
His elbow hit first, and it was out of bounds. Not a catch. I don't count it on my rankings.
Yeah,
that's okay. So I can say David Tyrese doesn't catch because the tip of the ball obviously touched the ground, and that's the only reason why he was able to corral it off top of his helmet.
No, it was a catch. It was a perfect catch.
It was not.
You screw the Patriots.
Yeah, there you
go. As a non-biased partisan here, I'm going to agree with Steve on that one.
Of course you are, and you are biased.
So
anyone who's not a Patriots fan is biased. That's the way it works.
Yes, as opposed to the
especially on an 18-0 season.
Clearly unbiased.
Yeah, but it was great watching BC collapse and just the perfect week for the Riders. It just capped it off. It was just wonderful. Doesn't happen very often, so.
Okay, I gotta. How does Benavides keep on finding work? Like, he's not that good a defensive coordinator. I'm sorry.
CFL coaches, man, it's an old boys club.
The amount of recycling that happens in this league, and some of the guys that keep on finding work, I'm just like, wow. Like, don't get me wrong, I like Benavides. He seems like a really good guy, but he has not been a very good coordinator in a long time.
And it's the coach's cap. Who are you going to replace him with? Your D-line coach is going to be your defensive coordinator now? Doubt it.
That cap has ruined the league, like so much.
You know what would have been a better idea than reinstating Sean Lemon? Removing the coach's salary cap.
We get to see him this week, hopefully.
And let's get to that. Time for the enemy preview presented by Creasy's Premium Home Leisure Jacuzzi Spas. Riders in Montreal, Saturday, 5 p.m. against the Alouettes. Well, let's talk about it. Sean Lemon back. Is he going to be a full-time player, or is he just going to be kind of just part of a rotation?
I think they're going to rotate him in this game. The good news for him, the bad news for the rest of us, because he's in the league and he bet on himself, is he knows that system. So he doesn't have that much picking up to come to because he's played under Noel Thorpe. He's played in that system. He's played with Sankey. He knows all the players. So it's not hard for him to get acclimated again. I think they're probably got a few packages for him, but I don't see him being an every down guy. He's going to just be in that rotation.
You have to remember, he's coming back as what, a 36-year-old defensive line. Is he 37?
37.
37-year-old defensive lineman who's been away from football for a year. He's definitely going to be coming in with packaging and not a full game's worth of work. I don't expect a whole lot out of him, if I'm being honest. You don't see a lot of guys at that age, not named Micah Johnson, perform at a high level.
He's a pure pass rusher. You're not asking him to do anything else. I think he's not going to be a full-time player, but I don't think he's just going to be just a rotational guy. Like, he's obvious passing situations. He'll be in there and he's going to be rushing the quarterback. That's what he is. He's very good at it. And
that's why his stints as a rider never lasted.
Yeah, because he couldn't drop back in coverage.
Stints. It was half a game.
Twice a rider, hashtag.
Yeah, twice a rider, half a game. That's all he played.
But he is a guy that you kind of have to be aware of him and where he is. I think that was one thing that Edwin Harrison said on the coach's show on the Sports Cage, was that he was a very good friend of Sean Lemon. So
that hurt me. That hurt me so much.
You had to bite your tongue so hard.
Oh, twice it would talk on the Edwin Harrison interview.
If you're looking for him, look in the 50-50 line.
But you gotta know where he is. You gotta not game plan around him, but you have to be aware of him. He's definitely a guy that you got to watch out for. And then obviously it's Noel Thorpe's defense. He's the master at disguising blitzes and where he's bringing pressure from and how many he's dropping. So if you're Mark Mueller and the Riders, how are you attacking that defense?
Same way they attack every defense. Short passing from Trevor Harris. He's the most accurate quarterback in CFL history for a reason. Give him those short outs, the slants, everything like that to get away from the blitz, and eventually they have to slow down, and that's when you pick them apart.
Noel Thorpe, everyone says he's the best defensive coordinator in this league for a reason. He's that good. The fact that he's not a head coach yet, in my mind, is criminal. He's going to, I think this offensive line is going to be in for the battle of their lives this week. I think this is going to be their toughest challenge. They've been very good this year. This is where it's going to get really real, because you are going to see Sankey come in. You're going to see Decoy come in. You're going to see a bunch of stuff not that they've never seen before, but it's going to be stuff that is going to be disguised, and it's going to catch them by surprise, because he likes moving around his players. He likes moving the blitzes around. He likes to show different looks. It is going to be very hard that's where your AJ's got to pick up the blitzes, your Mario Andersons, your extra receiver. They got to look for the guys coming from somewhere where they're not expecting. And it's going to be a hard one for our offense to pick those up.
I'm looking for this offense to have a lot of built-in screen passes, just to offset that rush. Even if AJ's, in to just kind of chip a guy off the edge and then, out in the flats. I'm expecting a few of those. I'm expecting, and this is great with Trevor Harris, and if you're going to have guys like, I think it's going to be a big game for Dante Myers. You have him and Keyshawn Johnson. If you have them running the slants over the middle, when that pressure does come, then there's your hot route. You got to have those. I mean, we saw it with Cody Fajardo and Shaq Evans. They made, that was their signature play back in 2019 and whatnot. I expect similar to that in the fact that Harris can read the blitz. He knows where his guy's going to be, his accuracy, and he has guys that are willing to go over the middle. We've seen Keyshawn Johnson and Dante Myers go over the middle constantly in this offense. So they're not afraid to take that shot. And then if you can get the time to find one of them on a corner route, Trevor Harris throws the great ball on the corner route as well too. So I'm expecting a very, again, tough game. So I agree with you, Greg, but I think they'll have the little wrinkles in the offense to try and offset that blitz. I'm glad you mentioned the offensive line, though. Peyton Collins sounds like he'll be the left tackle for this one. With Darius Washington was our guy the last week. Peyton Collins back, pardon me, with the ones this week. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, Noah Zur probably in for Zach Fry because Zach Fry did not practice. Again, it's gonna be tough for the Riders offense, especially without Sam Emilus. We're assuming that he's not going to play this week. He didn't practice on Tuesday. Tommy Neal took his spot in the starting lineup. And with the bye week next week, you absolutely sit Sam Emilus in this game. Took that shot to the knees. Don't risk it. It's a non-division game. I know they all count for 2 points in the standings, but you got to look long-term here. Get Sam Emilus that extra week. Don't chance anything. So anybody that is kind of teetering on the fence in terms of health, I wouldn't be playing them.
The only problem is
The
if
only
you look
way-
at the did not practice list today. That's a lot of bodies not playing this week.
We need to call up Chris Jones and his secret practice roster to fill out the roster this week if all those guys aren't going.
Del Duncan Bosby got hurt in that game against Edmonton, so he didn't practice on Tuesday. Then on defense, Aubrey Miller Jr. had a big brace on his legs. He's going to be out probably for a while. Lake Corte Moore didn't practice. He was still in gear at the end of the game when they were giving out game balls. Didn't seem to be limping around, but it was a non-contact knee injury that Lake Corte Moore had. So it's depth guys too. Like this team does have depth, but when you start losing those depth guys, especially guys that play on specials, like our kick return and our punt returns have been
Stellar.
like our coverage has been excellent this year.
Yep.
So that going back to Joe Couch, that's why I'm not too terribly worried about him being last in the league in punting yard average, because we're not giving up big returns. So, but once you start losing these guys that play on the specials, that's tough. So maybe Kosi Onyeka gets in on this one. Probably have Braxton Hill coming in at linebacker for Aubrey Miller. Hopefully he's good at specials. But going into the bye, we're starting to see those injuries pile up again here in Saskatchewan. Going to need some of these guys back soon. Speaking of injuries for Montreal on their side, Tyson Philpott with a hamstring injury did not practice on Tuesday. Neither did Austin Mack. So again, you don't want to see guys hurt, but at the same time, if we're going to be missing some guys, I don't mind if Montreal's missing a couple guys as well too. And those are the two best targets that they have on offense for MBT. So if anything happens to slow them down, I'm not upset about it. And hopefully they're both back next week.
But that Speaker's not a terrible receiver either. Like they still have a couple weapons over there.
Rambo's had a pretty good year as well too.
It's just, if you can keep Philpott and Mack out, that definitely takes two very, very good weapons away from MBT.
Yeah, suddenly you've got Speaker as your number one guy. He's a great number three. I don't want him up against our third DB, but with Mack and Philpott out, that's a huge swing in the Riders' direction. Mack hasn't really been the big threat since he came back, though. He hasn't been the guy that he was before he left down south. But the potential is still there. You know he still has that talent in him. So seeing him out for a game isn't the worst as you head out to Montreal.
You can write books on how guys aren't the same after they come back from the NFL. It is ridiculous the step down, I guess, it does to them when they go down there and then they come back and they just never seem the same again. I can't remember a guy that's gotten better after going down south. Possible exception, Weston Dressler,
Maybe.
but that wasn't. Yeah,
Even he took a bit to.
It took him a year and a half to get back to where he needed to be.
Yeah. But Riders Owls this upcoming Saturday, always a tough game in Montreal. Lately they've been close. They're not getting blown out like they used to in Montreal, but still should be I don't care what the spread is. It's going to be close. The Riders will make it close one way or another.
The key here with the bye week coming up after the game, tell the guys not to go out on St. Catherine Street after the game.
Yeah, Rue
They have a
St.
whole
Catherine
week.
after the game.
Yeah,
not a
After
week.
the game.
Yeah, don't have that
Celebrate
charter leave
after.
at 9 o'clock local time. Have it leave at 9 a.m. local time the next morning.
Yeah.
Splurge
we
that
go.
extra game day in the hotel. Take that out of the money. Get Craig Reynolds to sign off on that. Let him stay the extra night.
Or as they say in Quebec, après. Not devant, après. I'm bilingual.
Sure.
Sure.
With that in mind, let's get to our last segment of the show. It's time for our Piffles picks.
People's picks. Oh, there it is.
Piffles Picks.
Well, folks, when you write 52% of the time, you're wrong 48% of the time.
Things that are better than Greg.
This
Stupid
inanimate
Riders
rock coin.
getting outscored 14-0 in the final frame of that game.
Yeah, that coin. Steve, you're proving that we are just as dumb, if not dumber, than a coin.
I am so happy. Like the Ticats coming back to cover that, to win that game and cover the spread was the best thing that happened to me last week because I did not want to listen to about me being 0-4 this week.
Let me tell you, it sucks. I did it for 3 weeks in a row.
Can't relate, boys. Can't relate.
Hey, I'm slowly catching up. Not this week, but only 8 games back now.
Yeah, only 8 games back. Well, I already put my picks in there. You guys can see it. I'm not changing based off what the spread is. So you guys can strategically, well, Steve's picking.
Strategically nothing.
But we start off.
The only thing that might mess him up if that thing lands on its side, then he won't know what to do.
That's a tie.
You can't call a tie on a spread.
Calgary and Ottawa are playing this weekend. The hell I can't.
You can, but the spread doesn't factor that in.
He could call a push. He would have been right if he called a push on Hamilton, BC.
Yeah, I suppose.
Well, we start off Calgary at Ottawa. Drew Brown, back at quarterback for Ottawa. Don't know about Vernon Adams in this one. As a Rider fan, I mean, as a CFL fan, I love Vernon Adams. I hope he plays. As a Rider fan, I hope it takes Vernon one more week. I want to see PJ Walker for a full game, especially after what we saw from him last week. So Calgary to Ottawa, I'm going to guess the spread. Calgary is favored by 4.5.
I'll go
You
3.
go with nothing, Steve.
All right.
I already made my picks. They're written down. I have Calgary.
I'm on Calgary as well.
Who's home?
Ottawa. They lose at home all the time.
Ottawa.
Hope that lead goes to 7 games. Toronto at Winnipeg. You want to guess on this one, Steve?
Toronto. No. Winnipeg. 3.5.
Winnipeg 2.5.
Winnipeg 6.
The team they just lost to?
Yeah.
Can I change my pick? I had Winnipeg, not knowing that it's actually 6. I think Winnipeg wins, but can I change that to Toronto?
I'm taking Toronto on the cover.
It's locked in.
No, it's I have control. It's changed. It's Toronto.
And he dropped the coin. Winnipeg. -6. Good luck to you, sir.
Sorry, Greg, you said Toronto?
I did say Toronto cover, yeah.
What's actually really funny about Toronto is the whole Chad Kelly thing, because now he's on the 6-game list and probably not playing again this year.
As much as I've disagreed with Arash Madani for many, many years, he's been on the Chad Kelly is not playing train for a long, early this season. So it's not good.
Milt brought that up on the panel last week too. And it's really interesting because if Nick Arbuckle goes on a run in these next 6 games, the Toronto Argonauts are playing pretty well. Are you going to pull him? Probably not. But if they're not anywhere near the playoffs after these 6 games, is there a point of playing Chad Kelly at that point? You might as well just keep him out for the rest of the year. So I can see him just being shut down completely.
Here's my question. If Chad Kelly is not going to be good enough to go this season, are you sure Chad Kelly's going to be good enough to go next season?
I hope not. I'm happier with him out of the league. I've said that before. I don't think we'll get a lot of agreement here.
No, but the fact remains is, at what point do you go, football contracts are only as good as the paper they're written on. So why even have them on the roster?
Best ability is availability.
Yep.
Third game of the week, Hamilton at Edmonton. I will guess that it's Hamilton by 5.5.
I'll go 4.5. I was going to go 6.5.
I have Edmonton in there, not because I think they win. I think they lose by like 2 points. I think Hamilton wins, but they do not cover.
I think Hamilton's going to feed them their lunch. I'm not. Nothing about Edmonton is good to me right now, even with Cody. So give me Hamilton.
Hamilton.
All right, and the final game, Riders are in Montreal. Steve, do you want to take a stab at the spread?
Riders minus 3.5.
I think this one's closer to a pick 'em. I'll say it's Riders by 1.5.
Saskatchewan Roughriders 2.5, winning on the foot of a Brett Lothar field goal because we crap talked him all show.
I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yep. Hey, if he never misses another kick again and makes us eat crow, I will be thrilled.
That's what it takes for him to go off, is for us to call him, me specifically, to call him out.
And the coin agrees.
So we're all on the Riders in this one, covering the spread. I hope it doesn't come down to that, but I would not be surprised.
Neither would I.
I hope it's at that point. I hope it's a 14-point lead and we just let it slip away at the end.
Can we not do that just one damn time this year?
Once this team figures it out, they'll actually be, I don't want to say unstoppable, but they're going to be so friggin' hard to beat once they can start scoring points in the fourth quarter.
They're obviously already hard to beat. They just need to get out of their own goddamn way.
Yep.
Hopefully this is the week that starts it off. So Riders, Owls this upcoming Saturday. You boys up for a post-game show this week?
Can't wait.
You know it.
All right. I'm looking forward to that. So join us on Saturday after the game. We'll jump on social media. We'll do a live post-game breakdown for half an hour-ish, something like that, and share our thoughts on the game. So be sure to join in and bring your comments with you. But until then, that's going to be it for us here on the Piffles Podcast. Piffles Podcast is brought to you by our great friends at Dairy Queen on Elphinstone Street and Sass Drive in Regina. Special thanks, of course, to Kathy Festian of Royal LePage Next Level, Churchill Brewing Company, District 306, Regina's tactical laser tag experience, Bigfoot Vodka, and Creasy's Premium Home Leisure Jacuzzi Spas for their support, making the show possible. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcasts, watching on YouTube, or watching on SaskTel Max TV on demand. We appreciate it. Go Riders. This is Ghost Behind Your Mind.
Thank you for being such a big supporter and fan of the CFL and myself personally.